The name sends chills down spines. Jack the Ripper, a phantom in the night, a killer who struck fear into the heart of London. His legend looms large even today. In the autumn of 1888, he stalked the streets of Whitechapel. His victims were women brutally murdered, their bodies mutilated beyond recognition. The Ripper was never caught. His identity remains a mystery. This only adds to his terrifying legacy. He seemed to appear from nowhere and then vanish into thin air. The police were baffled. The public was terrified. Jack the Ripper became more than a man. He became a boogeyman, a dark figure that haunted the nightmares of Londoners. His crimes were shocking, even in a time of violence and poverty. The way he killed was unlike anything seen before. Who was Jack the Ripper? We may never know. Whitechapel in 1888 was a world of shadows. Narrow streets twisted like snakes, fog clung to every corner. Gas lamps cast eerie glows. It was a place of desperation and despair, the perfect hunting ground for a killer. Poverty was rampant, crime was commonplace, people lived and died in squalor. The stench of decay hung in the air. Sewage ran in open gutters. Diseases spread like wildfire. Children begged on street corners. Women sold their bodies to survive. Men drank themselves into oblivion. It was a world forgotten by the wealthy, a dark underbelly of Victorian London. Here life was cheap and death was always close at hand. In this chaos, Jack the Ripper found his prey. The women of Whitechapel were vulnerable. They had no one to protect them, no one to miss them when they vanished. The Ripper knew this. He used it to his advantage. He struck in the dead of night. And in the maze-like streets of Whitechapel, that monster could be anyone. The first body was found on August 31st, 1888. Mary Ann Nichols. Her throat was slashed. Her abdomen ripped open. It was just the beginning. More bodies followed, each kill more gruesome than the last. The Ripper was escalating. He was getting bolder, more savage, more depraved. Annie Chapman was next, found on September 8th. Her body mutilated, organs removed with surgical precision. The killer was not just violent, he was skilled. He knew anatomy. This made him even more terrifying. Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes fell on September 30th, the double event, 2 kills in one night. The Ripper was taunting the police, showing off his skills. Stride's death was quick, but Eddowes, her murder was a frenzy of violence. The final canonical victim was Mary Jane Kelly, killed on November 9th. And then, as suddenly as he had appeared, Jack vanished. Fear spread through London like a disease. It infected every home, every street, every mind. People looked at their neighbours with suspicion. Trust evaporated. Paranoia set in. Who was the Ripper? Could it be the shopkeeper, the doctor, the policeman? No one felt safe. Everyone was a suspect. Women were afraid to walk alone, even in daylight. The streets of Whitechapel became deserted at night. Businesses suffered. The whole area seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the next attack, the next body, the next headline screaming of the Ripper's latest atrocity. It was a city under siege, not by an army, but by one man, one monster. The newspapers fed the frenzy. They published lurid details, speculated wildly about the killer's identity. Every day brought new theories, new suspects. The Ripper became a media sensation. People couldn't look away. They were horrified, but fascinated. The killer had captured the public imagination. In the worst possible way, vigilante groups formed, but it was useless. They were more than just victims, they were women, with lives, with stories. Mary Ann Nichols, a mother of 5, struggling with alcoholism. Annie Chapman, once married, fallen on hard times. They had dreams, hopes, fears, just like anyone else, but their lives were cut short. In the most brutal way imaginable, Elizabeth Stride, born in Sweden, came to London for a better life. Catherine Eddowes, known for her singing voice, her sense of humour. Mary Jane Kelly, the youngest, only 25. Said to be beautiful, intelligent. They weren't just names in a police report, they were human beings, with families who mourned them, friends who missed them. But history often forgets the victims. The police were in over their heads. They'd never seen anything like this. The brutality, the frequency, the seeming randomness, it was unprecedented. They tried everything, increased patrols, undercover officers, rewards for information. Nothing worked. The Ripper always seemed one step ahead, always just out of reach. Detective Inspector Frederick Aberline led the investigation. He was experienced, respected, but even he was baffled. The crime scenes offered few clues. Witnesses were unreliable, scared or drunk. Every lead turned into a dead end. It was like chasing a shadow. The Ripper left no trace, no pattern, no motive that made sense. The killings stopped as suddenly as they began. Was the Ripper dead, imprisoned for another crime, or just lying low? The police had no answers, just theories, guesses. The case went cold, but it was never forgotten. Theories on the killer's identity. The theories are endless, each more outlandish than the last. Was Jack the Ripper a doctor, a butcher, a member of the royal family? Everyone had a theory, but the truth remained elusive, hidden in the fog of history, lost to time. None could stand up to scrutiny. The wildest theories captured the public imagination. The Ripper could be anyone, a madman. The mystery only deepened with time. Jack the Ripper changed everything. He wasn't just a killer, he was a cultural phenomenon. He changed how we think about crime, about evil, about the darkness lurking in human hearts. His legacy reaches far beyond the 5 canonical victims. It touches every aspect of our culture. The Ripper gave birth to the modern serial killer. He showed the world a new kind of evil, a methodical, seemingly motiveless killer. One who killed for the sake of killing, for pleasure, for power. He became the template, the archetype. Every serial killer since has been compared to him, measured against his terrible standard. In literature and film, the Ripper looms large. He's been the subject of countless books, movies, TV shows. He's become a symbol of Victorian London, of gaslit streets and foggy alleys, of a time when darkness could hide unimaginable horrors. Over a century has passed, yet the Ripper still fascinates us, still terrifies us. Why? What is it about this particular killer that captures our imagination? Perhaps it's the mystery, the unknown. We fear what we don't understand, and we understand so little about Jack the Ripper. The unsolved nature of the case gnaws at us. It's a puzzle we can't solve, a story without an ending. We crave closure, resolution. But the Ripper denies us that. He remains elusive, always just out of reach. This unfinished quality keeps the case alive, keeps us coming back, trying to solve the unsolvable. There's also the setting, Victorian London, a world of extremes, extreme wealth, extreme poverty, a society on the cusp of the modern age, but still clinging to old superstitions. It's a world both familiar and alien to us, the perfect backdrop for a monster like the Ripper. He embodies the dark side of that era, the hypocrisy, the hidden violence, the secrets lurking behind respectable facades. Finally, there's the human element. Jack the Ripper's shadow stretches across time. It touches everything, true crime, fiction, pop culture. His influence is everywhere. In every serial killer story, every unsolved mystery, every tale of urban terror, he's become more than a killer. He's an idea, a dark muse for countless creators. The Ripper changed how we view evil. Before him, killers were simple, motivated by greed, revenge, passion. But Jack was different. He killed for the sake of killing, for reasons we couldn't understand. He showed us that evil could be random, motiveless, that it could strike anyone, anywhere. This idea terrifies us, fascinates us. It's at the heart of our modern conception of the serial killer. Like and subscribe for more terrifying stories.